Good morning, everyone. Today is the last trading day of May. It's also the end of the week, and it has been a long week, I gotta tell you. We are sitting in a couple of bounce zones, but what I want to show you is what's going on with gold. We are at the top of the range, so we are going to see some selling pressure. Let's go to the day and take a look at what is happening. We've come into this you know what? I forgot what this moving average is. So let's look at it again. It's the Kaufman Adaptive, the 50. I like these slow averages that sort of tell me what's going on relative to strength. We've got upward pressure here, but only into resistance because everything is relative to trend. And so we should pull back into the space. The dollar sits clearly above the 98 level and it is holding. Pullbacks should be buy zones for the short order. But what we are seeing since this big breakdown that we talked about in the ES from several days slash weeks past is the flight to safety. And so let's take a peek at what that flight to safety looks like. So right around here, this is from Koyfin, Koyfin, if you're interested in having a look at them. They do a great comparison chart. And here we're just looking at real estate versus SPX, NDX, and the Dow, and the municipal bonds, as well as high grade bonds. That's not high yield, it's high grade. So it's quality investment. And what we'll see is that when December came about, everybody started buying here. All right, so that was a really big move in the chart. And then as price action began to hold, and broke out, holding back, there was a bit of a dip. So this area in um, high grade credit, nice. We're looking at it's the purple one here, just a little dip. Real estate, I was talking to someone very good at the market space in this sort of thing, and a lot of real estate things deliver yield. And so that is really where we're seeing flight to safety. Municipal bonds have just had this slow and steady grind to the upside. So now all three of these guys are above the overall performance for these guys, and that is not counting today. So this is a big deal. If you've got MarketSmith, you can look at what this high grade investment yield is looking at. Everything's a little frothy, but pullbacks should give you some buy zones, right? It's still got um, pressure pushing to the upside, but we're coming into the edge here, so keep your eye on that LQD. Keep your eye on um, the utilities that continue to give us big bounces. And then, of course, you can look at the muni bond. All right, so we've got these. Let's close them out here. And now we can look at, well, what in the world are we seeing here in the ES? And we are very close to some significant support zones. And this is creating a bounce event. All right, so do we have more buying than selling? No, we still have more selling than buying. This last one, of course, just started, so it's very, very low. We'll see what happens in the space overall. My thought is that really getting up over 71 to 76 is what we are looking for in general here, right? So that is what we have to see in terms of broad market action. I mean, we have significantly seen breakdowns that look fairly dreadful. We went straight through our area, but remember, it is one thing when we start losing these very big zones, right? This one at 28.36. The next one here is at this 58 to 56 level. I'm going to create an alert here, trigger the multiple from Motive Wave, which of course you know is my platform of choice in terms of trading off of it. I really do like it. But you can see this motion looking just really, really dreadful in terms of continuation. But that's usually when we try to stage a bounce. And of course, just like the last couple of days, what we've done is dip sharply lower and then try to bounce. That bounce goes into resistance and that gives us another deep fade. So that's what we're into right now. Can we jump off of this bounce zone into resistance? We will pull back, but the question is, can we hold higher lows? And in the end, that's going to be somewhere around this 68 to 75 area, very, very wide. All right, taking a look at the NQ, same sort of thing. Deep formations, holding this trend line break very, very well. Notice up here to the left, or over here to the left, we see an area of support around 71.3650. We are going to be looking for that loss there. I mean, take a look at this. 70.27. That's fairly deep, right? But nothing in the way. And we did move like a rocket off of these edges. And that's really what we have to pay attention to in grand fashion. What are we looking at here? You know, messy, but still fair enough. Take a look at the slope. Still fair enough to tell us, listen, any kind of bounce I see, it's going to be in a sell zone until I start holding higher lows. Taking a look at the YM, now I'm looking at this thinking to myself, wow, could we actually go down here? Possible, but notice the slope of this motion is shifting. So we have a little bit of a trend line shift. The question becomes, what do we look for in the bounce pass, moving through these edges back and forth to the upside here? My thought is, a bounce into resistance. Let's take a look at the daily. We don't have any edges on the YM here. But we do know from a composite chart, this area around 2438, 2435 is a big number. And so we're going to be looking for that zone as a low. Up here, we really want to get over 25,060. That is pretty important. Otherwise, bounces still into resistance. Listen, bounces are into resistance all the way up into our 25,000. Now it looks like 25,500. So there's a tremendous amount of negative pressure being exerted on the market. We have to think of it in terms of, listen, this might be a bottom, but a bottom with this kind of market action means that we have to bounce up and fade and then hold a higher low. So far, we bounce up, fade, and when we come for the retest, we have a small goal of people moving, and then it's all done. So that's the pattern you want to look at. This one, wow. Okay, so now this is a pretty big mess. Very, very deep formations. We just rolled the contract, so I can't really see much of anything here. Let's see if we can squeeze this up just a bit to see if we can build another pattern. Let's try an alternate ABCD, or you know what? Let's try an ABCD from here. Oopsie. Let's do this. Tools, alternate ABCD. That, oh my. Okay. So that gives us a much deeper drift. Today, we want to hold these edges, right? We want to hold 55. If we cannot hold 55, we've got this drift pattern. The composite chart says that this number is somewhere around 5417. Let's see. 5457 to 5417. All right, so 54, let's put it here, 5450. We'll leave that there. And then, of course, we definitely have got to get above 5660. But notice what happened yesterday. We rocketed off this support formation. And then, quick as a wink, we turned right around and fell down. So how do we know something like this is likely to happen? Look at where you are relative to slope. Again, we use that Kaufman adaptive 50. Relative to slope, bounces are going to be into resistance. Resistance is going to give us more pullback. And, now we've got this action down here at 52 to 48. That's going to affect a lot of companies that have um, energy at the forefront. This is really a very big deal. All right, taking a look at gold again, we started with that. We're going to look for that. Want to look for the break above 1305. When it breaks above there, you'll be just above this moving average. Notice the last couple of times it's been above this moving average, it's moved up to relative resistance and then faded. So what you can say here is based on this formation, you want to be careful about buying the breakout areas. Very, very careful. Now, the difference is when it moved up over here, the the MACD had negative slope, and the histogram was below the zero line. This time that it does it, we're probably going to have a bit of positive slope here in terms of the slope of direction, and the histogram will be positive. So you want to watch for that. It certainly could move into this next area. That would be where we would be looking if this breaks out. It should fade on that edge because of this location. That's telling us there's a lot of risk sitting under there for the short side. All right? Good luck trading today.